Hey guys, and welcome to my channel. Today in this video, I'm going to show you how to create HDR in Affinity Photo. Now, you can use multiple photos to create HDR in Affinity Photo, or use just a single one photo and work based on it. And I'm going to actually do both. So first one will be selecting multiple photos in different exposure and blend them together to create HDR in Affinity Photo. And then I'm going to save it in the screen, and then I'm going to use exact same photo but raw, one single photo, and then try to do HDR on that and see which one works the better. Let's jump in. Now, first thing first, I'm going to go to the edit, actually file, and then you have new HDR merge. So I'm going to click on that and then click add, and then we're gonna go and then find the photos that we have. In your case could be different folder. So I have those three images available. I'm going to select all three of them and then click open, and then you have three photos selected already, which is brilliant. Now about those three, one of them are underexposed, one of them is really overexposed, and the third one, according to the camera, is exposed to the mirror in the middle. And now what I'm going to do, before I click OK, I'm going to click noise reduction as low as possible. The reason why, because if you do too much noise reduction, unless you have a high ISO, I don't recommend it, because it creates artifacts. It takes away a lot of details. You can always do noise reduction after. And the second one, I'm going to check automatically remove ghosts. What does it mean? There are no actual ghosts in the photo. It's essentially, let's say the photo, you're going to see it in the bigger screen, but at the background, there are trees. Luckily, it was not that windy, but it was windy enough to move the leaves back and forth. And when you're doing HDR, ideally, you want all the subjects static, not moving at all. But unfortunately, because it's moving, so when you blend three photos together, you're going to see some kind of weird movement. It's like a ghost walking around. That's why it's called ghost. They're not real ghosts, so take it easy. And automatically align images. So you have perspective, scale, rotate, and translate. I'm going to select the second one. What happens is that if you're using a tripod, fair enough, should be all aligned exactly the same. But if you're not using tripod, which I do many times, and those three photos I did not use tripod, so I tried to raise my shutter speed and then burst three photos at the same time. But we are human, we move, our hand cannot be steady like a machine. So you should automatically align images. Now the fourth one automatically selected, it's called Tone Map Hdr image. Essentially means that it will take you to an area where you can fine-tune your HDR. So I'm going to click OK right now, beam. Now you can clearly see that it's working. So there is merging all the three photos, and let's see what it does. And it takes time, depends on size of your photo. Raw is the worst, it takes forever, up to the eternity to create a HDR image. But this one is TIFF, all three of them. But each of them are more than 50 megabytes, so definitely it's going to take some time. And voila, the base is just perfect. Now before I get into the detail, I should mention a few things. One, the background, the trees are blur, not because it's ghost or something like that. It's because I don't know if I have a metadata here. I don't. But the image was shot at f5.6 and focused on this brown area. Therefore, the background, the tree and the sky were blur. So that is the reason why. So there's no weird thing going on. Don't worry about it. Now, typically, I always either pick between natural or detail. Now, natural and detail, to me, I find only difference, which is the detail is more sharp and contrasty. Clearly you can see it. I'm just going to zoom in quite a little bit. Can I? Where is it? I should have my navigator somewhere. There you go. Found it. Now, first thing first, when you do detail, I can guarantee you're going to have some ghosting. You can clearly see it here, especially at the edges. Now, that is the reason why if you don't have static images, avoid it. Now, neutral still have a little bit of artifacts there, but hell lot of better than the detail. So always stick to neutral. Now, overall, everything looks sharp, perfect, on the spot. I wouldn't care less about this area because that's just natural. If I had a lens width f1 point something, it would be even more blur. So I wouldn't care. What I care about though, which is saturation. So I want to make it more saturated. But of course you have plenty of other presets here, like dramatic, which is pretty good. It's punchy, saturated, as the name suggests, dramatic. And what else you have? You have cool. So it's kind of like a nice, soft, cool look, toned down the warmth, and high contrast black and white. Very, 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 very useful if you're looking for something black and white and artistic. Now I'm going to go back to my histogram because we're going to work on the compression. So let's see if I tone down a little bit. Let's see, if you go all the way to 100, there's many changes, but notable change is the sky. Check this one out. If I go down, the sky gets blown out. So that means that you should stay there. Second one is the local contrast. So this is what the detail does by preset. So you can go up, and you can clearly see that this is getting way too contrasty. Now, it's amazing when you're doing, especially I like it on portrait, where you have this grungy, contrasty look. Very dramatic. I like this, but in generally speaking, I keep it to as low as possible. Exposure looks all right. The black point, maybe I would add some contrast there. Now, what is the difference between exposure and brightness? You're saying that that's light and that's light too. What the hell? If you go to exposure to 1, let's say, I'm going to go to 1. There you go, somewhere there. It's shadow and highlight. They're both going all the way up. You definitely don't want that. The brightness, on the other hand, work on the midtone. Check this one out. If I go up, it's getting brighter without exploding everything. So I'm just gonna tone it down just a bit. I'll reduce contrast instead, but not too much. Just a little bit. And go back to black point and add some more black there. And you have 2 sliders, saturation and vibrance. I always love vibrance because saturation, it's actually a little too much to me. Oh, there you go. On that. If you go to saturation up, I just don't like it. It's just way too much for me. So I'm just gonna get it to 0 and up my vibrancy instead. Shadow and highlight. In this case, I'm just going to try to recover some shadow. Let's see what highlight. Sorry. Let's see what happens. Yep, I got more detail out from my sky. Detail refinement. This is where the sharpness comes. So I'm just gonna add some sharpness. I could do that in Affinity Photo layer, but I'm just gonna do all here. And curve, my favorite. I'm going to use a little S curve. So there you go, a little bit up, a little bit down, maybe mid-tone a little bit more, and beam. How cool is that? Now I'm going to click apply, and obviously you can continue more and more and more, do some more local adjustment in the shadow and highlight. For example, I'm just going to add some more vibrancy, especially vibrance, so that I can get some more color out of it. And that should be enough. Now, anyway, you got the idea how to do HDR in Affinity Photo using multiple images. And that's the objective of this tutorial. You can do better than me, I'm sure about it. But at least I could show you how this works in general. Now, how about one single image? I'm going to go to the file, click open, and then click this raw file. So it's a Canon file. And then what I'm going to do, because it's super underexposed, so I'm going to make sure the noise reduction is on, because I'm sure that when I'm going to bring my shadow back, is going to be a lot of noise. And then go to the basic. Try to get some exposure, but not too much without blowing out the sky. And I'm sure that there's a shadow slider. There you go, shadow. And let's see. And pull it up as much as I can. I can guarantee you that there are like a very nasty amount of noise. That's disgusting. But nothing I can do. So you officially know what is the downside of working on single image for the HDR. Lucky for me, I have a noise reduction software such as Topaz, so I could use that. So I'm not going to use any kind of noise reduction here. I'm going to leave it for Topaz later. And then I'm going to go to the color and try to reduce some color noise. See that yellow dot? Those are the color noise. So I'm going to go up and up and up and up and up. And that's actually how you do the HDR in one single photo. Essentially, HDR means that you try to recover as much dynamic range as possible. Now, I can actually use this tone map. Hang on a second, it's going to take some time. And that's the HDR section of Affinity Photo. So I'm going to go there and do that a little bit. Takes some time, obviously, because it's a raw file. And, you know, I keep to the natural. I will go to the highlights and reduce some highlight from there, because I'm sure the sky is kind of exploding. And I'm going to I reduce some highlights more. And what I'm going to do, I don't need any kind of vibrance because it's already nice and vibrant enough. But let me zoom in one more time. What happened? I'm going to show you something nasty. See that? That's all noise because I recover shadow. So just bear in mind, if you're doing noise reduction, HDR with one single image, it's bound to happen. It cannot do much, unfortunately. Now, HDR, the histogram, then I'm going to go to the contrast. Now, black point, and then add some black. And that's about it, guys. So I'm just going to click apply. And there you go. Now, I'm going to go back and forth. So that's the traditional version. Just going to zoom a little bit. That's the traditional HDR with multiple images. That's the classic one. And if I zoom in quite a bit, there actually no, it's sharp. Number one, it's important to know, it's sharp, no noise. If I go to the other one, ooh la la la, look at that. I mean, good looking, but the noise is just crazy. So I could go to the filter and plugin, use a plugin, whatever plugin you have for the noise reduction, turn on the Topaz and see what it gives me. And I'm going to do, I think, a low light in that case. Let's see what it gives me. It takes some time, obviously. I cannot do much. By the way, while you are looking at it and what's happening, the sky is blue. There are a lot of parachutes on the sky because I live next to a church. And next to a church, there is a place where people practice paragliding. Yep, my life is awesome. Let's see what severe noise does. So I'm going to go to severe noise and see what it's doing to me. My goodness, the artifact is just crazy bad. I'm going to change the view to single view. And because I think that it's doing 4 noise reduction at the same time, so taking just forever. And original details, I think I'm gonna enhance the sharpness quite a bit because last time I didn't add any sharpness here. See what it gives me. Reduce noise reduction quite a bit because I think it's giving me a little bit of artifact there. I could do more. I can spend hours, so I'm just gonna click apply and then let it process. You know, while we are here, completely off topic, I think personally, all the photography tutorials in YouTube, including mine, they are not really useful, and you know, you shouldn't spend too much time on photography tutorial. I recommend you and suggest you to go out, shoot and practice photo and enjoy photography in general, because I think that software tutorials and software techniques, they are kind of too much hyped. Anyway, this is our result. I cannot expect too much from it. Look at that. I mean, and then I could actually go to the, no, not there. In the effect, go to unsharp mask, zoom in about 100%, add some unsharp masks, like about 1 pixel should be fine, 1.5, and threshold to 1, and change the blend mode to luminosity, beam, and before and after. So I could get some sharpness back. Now, much better, but there is something wrong in this image. Something that doesn't look natural. Like this one is more contrasty, right? But also natural to me. It looks natural in my eye. Like black is true black, white is true white. I could add some more saturation. That's not a problem. Here, in this photo, on the other hand, there is certain things that doesn't look natural. I don't know about you, but that's what I feel. Plus the detail. I'm just gonna zoom in 100%, and look at that. Looks just polished and mushy. If I zoom in here, 100%, so much detail. Go back and forth. Look at that. This and that. Anyway, the objective of this video was to teach you how to do HDR with single photo and multiple images, but I also showed you the pros and cons of different methods. I hope you picked something out of it. Go out, shoot, practice, enjoy, love, give kisses to everybody, love everyone, and I see you in the next video. Bye bye.